Negative calorie foods are the idea that there are some foods that are so low in calorie density that just by eating them, you would burn more energy digesting the food than what the food would provide. But do these foods exist? And if so, what might they be? Hi, I'm Dr. Brian Young, a naturopathic doctor in Toronto. Let's take a practical look at negative calorie foods. Energy for metabolism. The theory behind negative calorie foods rely mostly on the fact that our bodies require some energy to process the food we eat. There's physical energy being used from the chewing of our food to the movements of our stomach and intestines to move the food through our digestive system. There's also chemical energy being used, from the hormones produced when it detects the food we eat to the enzymes that are produced to break that food down. All this extensive processing and activity generates some heat, which is what we call thermogenesis. This is why sometimes after a large meal, we might feel sweaty and hot. We refer to all this energy lost from breaking down our food as the thermic effect of food. However, it's important to know that the magnitude of this thermic effect depends heavily on what you're eating. For example, a large Christmas dinner meal consisting of turkey meat, mashed potatoes and gravy, peas, and roasted vegetables will require a multitude of enzymes and gastric movements to break it all down. In another example, a small lunch salad consisting of leafy greens, bell peppers, cucumbers, and some berries will require far less enzymes and need to process a much smaller volume of food. So the large Christmas meal is going to have a much larger thermic effect than the small lunch salad. The body is able to adjust the amount of energy it uses to process the food you eat, depending on what you've eaten. Low-calorie dense foods. The theory also depends on foods that are so low in calorie density that processing these foods would potentially cost more calories than what the food provides. Commonly cited foods include those with very high water content and provide a low amount of calories per volume. Things like celery, cucumber, lettuce, cabbage, lemon, lime, the list goes on. However, the fact that these foods are mostly water and contain a very low amount of other macronutrients like protein, fat, or carbohydrate means that the body doesn't really need to do a whole lot to process them. It doesn't need to release any enzymes to digest protein or fat, and most of the water is absorbed passively. So the thermic effect of these low-calorie foods is minimal. And studies suggest that the energy used to process these foods in our body do not surpass the amount of energy that these foods provide, even with the small amounts they do provide. That being said, these foods often provide a good amount of appetite-suppressing soluble fiber as well as plenty of water, two things you should be looking to increase to help you manage hunger and reduce your intake of other calorie-dense foods. So even though these foods are not truly negative calorie foods, increasing their intake can still help you to lose weight. What about chewing gum? Another commonly cited negative calorie food is sugar-free chewing gum, with the idea that the energy burned from chewing the gum would burn more calories than the gum could provide. Research suggests that chewing burns about 11 kilocalories per hour. That's not very much, unfortunately. You burn 11 kilocalories by walking for about 3 minutes. So if you're just chewing on a completely flavorless piece of gum for an hour trying to burn calories, you might just want to go for a walk instead. However, chewing gum is a good strategy used by individuals trying to avoid snacking too often. Chewing gum might help habitual snackers keep their mouth and mind occupied so they don't reach for a cookie instead. So while chewing sugar-free gum may not be the most efficient way to burn calories, it can serve as a good way to prevent snacking on your weight loss diet. What about cold water? Yet another commonly cited negative calorie drink is cold water, with the belief that your body will use more energy to heat and absorb the water than the water can provide. Water is passively absorbed by the body, meaning it doesn't really need to use a whole lot of energy to absorb it. So let's take a look at the energy required to heat the water up to body temperature. We know that it takes 1 kilocalorie to increase 1 liter of water by 1 degree Celsius. So let's say you drank 1 liter of ice cold water currently at 1 degree Celsius. Your body needs to raise the 1 degree Celsius of water to 37 degrees Celsius, which is body temperature. This means it needs to raise it by 36 degrees Celsius. This means that your body would need to burn 36 kilocalories to heat that 1 liter of ice cold water. So drinking 1 liter of ice cold water might burn about as many calories as a 6-minute walk. Again, the energy used is pretty modest, and this is in an ideal world. Some research suggests that our bodies don't actually burn nearly that much when drinking cold water, with some real-life estimates suggesting the actual amount burned is 4 to 5 times less. So drinking 1 liter of ice cold water might only be burning as much as a 1 to 2 minute walk. That being said, studies that look at increasing water intake during a diet show that it can help with weight loss. However, the way it does so is more so likely due to 3 other reasons. 1. Replacing other sugary drinks like pop, juice, or bubble tea with water, thereby reducing the amounts of sugars and empty calories you're consuming. 2. Drinking water before and during meals to help partially fill out and bulk the stomach with water, and reduce the total amount of food eaten during the meal. And 3. Sipping on water to help better manage hunger and suppress appetite in some people, thereby preventing overeating and snacking. So increasing your water intake is indeed beneficial for your weight loss. However, its primary benefits may not be necessarily as a negative calorie drink. Summary. So how do we look at this objectively? Well, the rationale that these foods work by making the body work harder to digest them is not likely the main reason why these foods are great on your weight loss diet. However, just because they may not work great as actual negative calorie foods doesn't mean you shouldn't bother with them. In fact, you should still probably increase their usage in your diet. Low-calorie vegetables like celery or cucumber provide a good amount of soluble fiber to bulk out your stomach and create fullness. Chewing gum can help distract your mouth and reduce unwanted snacking and cravings. Drinking water will be very important to ensure you remain hydrated on your diet, as well as help to manage hunger and appetite. What do you think about negative calorie foods? And are there foods or drinks you would add to this list? And if you found this video helpful, please leave me a like. As before, I'm Dr. Brian Young, bringing you weight loss info on this channel. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you're interested in learning more, and share it with someone you know who needs the help.